This is Matthew McConaughey,
Natalie Portman.
James Patterson,
Michael Ian Black,
and you are listening to
Five questions
with Dan
Schawbel.
Tiffani, welcome to Five Questions.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. So I'd love to start off with your kind of early life. Why do you credit your mom as one of your most important sources of inspiration?
There's so many things I could say about my mother, but because she was my everyday, right? And being that she's a woman and I was a girl, of course, I looked up to her. Her way of looking at the world, her way of parenting, her way of being a woman, her way of loving, so many things. I mean, it's really, truly endless. And I still take all of those into consideration today. And really who I am today is because of her.
I love that. And I actually can't publicly credit my mom or my dad. I have to credit both of them. Like I had to with my second book, I dedicated to both of them because they listen to this. So.
I love it. It's funny. I credit my dad for different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's funny because, you know, I guess it's probably the female thing. Maybe that's why. And maybe my brothers would have said something differently, you know, but for me, for this sort of thing, and I think being a mother myself, it really is my mom who I think has given so much of who I am today.
What were some of the challenges growing up in the public eye?
Oh, another long list. I think not giving a crap. You know, like I think I learned that really early on. And again, my mom was a huge sort of one that kind of made me look at that where, you know, luckily we didn't have social media back then, right? But we still had the magazines. We still had people who would write on websites and things like that. And she told me a long time ago, she's like, you know, you're always going to have a balance of both, good and bad, right? That's the world. That's just the way it works. She goes, but truly, do you need to be reading all the bad? There's no point in it. There's no point in listening. You know who you are. And as long as you've got, you know, the enjoyment of what you're doing and you're loving what you're doing, then that's great. There's no point in it, you know, and it's true. And I tried to really learn that at an early age where I really did. And I still, to this day, I don't go on my socials and read a ton. I do a little bit when it comes to like recipes and stuff like that, because I know people want feedback. But I try not to look at it all the time, you know?
Well, and they don't actually know you. They're
That's
just
true.
commenting on what they might have
what
read
they see.
in
Of
some
course,
People
of course.
magazine or whatnot.
Right.
So
Of course.
it's hard
Yeah.
to, you know, you got to detach yourself to
Mhm.
those people. It's actually
Yeah.
when your friends and family have
Yeah, right.
things to say
When
about you,
when
that
they're
you
the
should-
ones that actually have the
Exactly.
comments, right? Yeah, that's very true.
How did your upbringing influence the development of your book? Here we go again.
hmm Again, my mom. So I grew up in a household who, you know, we didn't have a ton of money. My dad, most of the time, worked two jobs to be able to let my mom stay home and raise me and my brothers. And it really was my mom who would take, you know, the roasted chicken that I had on Monday night and make it into something else on Tuesday, like enchiladas or something. She was always stretching food to make it work for us, you know, and it's interesting how I look at it now, where that is a really great, amazing tool for many reasons. And it was really trying to teach my children about food waste and how much that is a huge contributor to our climate change right now. And so, what a great way to create sort of this book that really highlights how I sort of grew up, just because it was more about money and to what we really need to do as a society, and really trying to teach my kids about food waste.
What I really like about it is I don't think there's ever been a book to take that approach, and
Yeah.
it's very authentic to you. So it really hits
Yeah.
both of those, which I think makes
Thank
it
you. I
very cool.
appreciate it. That means a lot to me. Thank
And
you.
the way we do it here is my wife and I, we cook once, but we make so much, so we
Yeah.
have leftovers, and we
So then
we
you're
use it
doing
for
exactly
multiple
what
days.
I
That's
love
why it
it.
resonates with us. Yeah.
I
And
love
so
that.
out of all the recipes in the book, which one are you the most proud of, and why?
It's hard to say which one I'm the most proud of. I would say I would change that question into which is the one I use the most. How's that?
That's
And
great.
I would say it's probably a tie between the 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 breakfast sandwich, the pizza breakfast sandwich, or I would say probably the cotton candy smoothies because I'm always trying to sneak vegetables in my kids', smoothies. And then another really close second, I would say, is probably the surf and turf tacos.
They all sound so good. So yeah, it's like picking which kid you like.
It's hard.
Best,
It's
right?
right. Yeah. Or your parent, like you were saying, right? Super hard to do. Yeah.
And what's your best piece of career advice?
Another one that was taught to me. This is from my grandmother. You will never work a day in your life if you enjoy what you do for a living. How's that?
I think that's great. And thank you so much for being on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.